Hello and welcome to my channel. Vice Rhino here, Cirrus down below me, and special guest this evening to my right, left, whatever. I'm not sure which way you guys see.
It's your left on the stream.
My left on the stream is Chaz Stevens. Hi Chaz, how's it going?
Greetings all. How are y'all? Good evening.
So, if you're not familiar with Chaz, he does a lot of activist work that is essentially trolling, but like the best kind of trolling.
The kind where you're like, hey, let's have a statue of Baphomet out here real quick.
No, I don't think you don't do the Baphomets, do you?
So in 2013, I started my gig up in Tallahassee, and then that's when the Satanic Temple folks kind of launched their deal, and we don't necessarily see eye to eye. I am officially Broward's ambassador to hell and the third in line to take over hell, so they don't necessarily recognize my administration.
Fair.
Yeah, so
challenge the power.
Yeah, no, he does one better than Baphomet. We were actually just talking off air about the upside down cross with Jesus and a butt plug that when you push it, it says, was it fuck you or something?
What the fuck, Christ? Yeah, in Stephen Hawking's voice. It was a 9-pound, 11-inch tall dildo, and if you look behind me, that way, that red thing up there, that's one of them, and it's like a World War II mortar. And we cut it in half, and we stuck it on the state of South Carolina's grounds. We got permission to do that, and little kids would come up and push the button and said, "What the fuck, Christ?" And so, just the reason to drive 800 miles to do that for a gag.
Yeah, so that's the kind of activism Chaz does when. The governments come along and say, hey, we're going to put this religious symbolism up. He will find the loopholes in the law and exploit them. So most recently, he's been in the news because of the Texas In God We Trust posters, which I don't think those aren't the Texas ones behind you, are they?
So on... It's really odd. This side... Oh, there we go. Oh, I can just point the right way. Sorry, guys. Yeah, so that is...
You got like this. I believe in you.
It's okay. I couldn't figure out which.
It's not a Moscow Mule. It just looks like one.
So you're literally on the screen in front of me the same way everybody sees me, and I couldn't figure out whether you were to the left or the right. So it's okay.
Yes. Yeah. So that behind me is that's the Texas thing that we made for the Pelican State, for Louisiana. So when I originally did it, I put it in Google Translate. And In God We Trust turned out to be In God We Trusted. I got blown up by the people in the Middle East, and rightly so. They thought I was picking on them, Islamophobia, blah, 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 blah. So I hired on, thanks to Upwork, I hired on a team, 2 teams actually, to help me create this stuff and matched it to make sure, because it's calligraphy. I don't speak the language. I'm not familiar with Aramaic fonts. So we ended up with that, and then I still was getting hell that we were raising, some causing some people in the Arab community in Houston some problems. So then I did Vulcan, Klingon, Druid, UPC code, Gay Pride. Oh God, you wouldn't believe the hell we got for Gay Pride, and all that stuff. So then we did Louisiana. So Louisiana has that. Plus, we can talk about that in a little bit more. We have the satanic one. So we got a couple little satanic ideas. So we can talk about that. But anyway, that's the artwork from Texas, and 1,100 went out, and then we're gonna send, depending upon how much money we raise, perhaps twice as much in Louisiana.
Yeah, so I appreciate you blowing your load right up front there. We're here to talk about the Louisiana thing, because they did not learn from Texas's mistake. They decided they were going to pass their own, every classroom has to have an In God We Trust poster on it, and they did not. They left it wide open. Let's see, what are the requirements? We got the only requirements, it has to be framed 11 by 14 inches. The phrase must be the central focus of the display, and the phrase must be printed in large, easily readable font, and has to say "In God We Trust." So, basically,
you just put any god there at that point. Yeah,
basically, that's how he's getting the Satan things in there. Like, you want to talk about the Satan ones?
So The law in Louisiana started in 2019. They have a law there now that says "In God We Trust" is on the classroom walls, or in the school, I should say, just in the school.
Your video
And
seems to be frozen again.
It's been lying. Oops, it's been lying around for a couple years, and nobody's done anything with it. So they've tried to extend this law to include us. To include it in every classroom.
Yeah.
So in 2019, it's up in the school now. 3 years later, it's going to go up in all the classrooms. And the law, as it was going through, they were kind of dickering about it, and then they were going to put a lot of different regulations on it. And it was debated on the floor apparently, and the folks finally just agreed upon this rather banal law, rather simple law, and rightly so, which was we're going to be able to take advantage of it.
Yeah. So one of the things I like is, I guess your goal is not necessarily to actually get these hung up in classrooms. It's just kind of like to bring awareness. Is that correct?
I sent 1,100 to Texas, a little over 1,100, and I apologize. My video is kind of hokey.
Yeah,
I'm working on it.
Yeah. So what I find most amusing about that, though, is that you happen to be the one person on this call whose name is registered in Zoom as support staff.
You are the support team, and therefore you must be the one that is broken.
So 1,100 went up in Texas. I apologize. You get my goofy look. So 1,100 went up in Texas. 1,100.
They actually hung them in the classrooms?
No, I sent 1,100. That's a lot. It was really wickedly expensive. Mm-hmm. And we were burning money. So there's security now too. So, and we were wrapping them up. We were sending them out. 1,100 went up. And to my knowledge, I apologize for the dogs. To my knowledge, not a single one was displayed out of 1,100. I don't make the rules. I'm not there. I'm not the legislator. I'm not the gold. I can't walk around an elementary school camp. Imagine me, 58 years old, white guy, walking around an elementary school campus. That's wrong on every single level you can think of. So I don't expect to win. Well, I've learned a lot. We could talk about that, but I expect them to tell me no for whatever the reason, or just say, well, we got these other ones in, so screw off, Chaz Stevens.
Yeah, but I mean, the whole point of doing stuff like this is you end up in the news, people end up talking about it, it brings awareness to the issue, and like, just brings awareness to the fact that, like, this is very clearly Christian nationalists trying to control the narrative and trying to manipulate the system so they can pretend like they're being open to all religions, but finding excuses to, only actually be Christian.
Mm-hmm.
I like what I like to say is when they need to make something stupider, they call me.
It's a good way to.
I've been doing this. Fellas, for 30 years. It's not my first rodeo. I got a Wikipedia page that's like 100 miles long, and I've learned. And just recently, old dog, new tricks, right? Maybe my video is going now.
It is, yes.
That yeah. Sorry about that. I think I figured it out. So I learned that I don't get the goals. It's really difficult to get wins, even at the local level. I did in 2009. I sent 3 elected officials here in Deerfield Beach, a little town just north of Lauderdale. 3 elected officials went to jail because of my reporting and my blogging. They were all corrupt. They got arrested.
Nice. Jesus.
Those are giant wins. You don't get them. People and again, I got a million projects. the things went up to Texas. Nah, they didn't go up. So my game plan is just 40 to 40. The guard, Texas teaches about football. They taught me about my own stadium. I'm between the 40-yard line and the 40-yard line. So my game plan is to take it from my 40 and get over to your 40, not to get across the goal line, but to move the ball, to drive awareness, to make people say,
Yeah.
what the fuck? Really, what the fuck is going on? And then in Texas, not to keep on railing about Texas, but I had a lot of people write to me, email me, support me. I mean, I had 40,000 teachers on my side. So I was just the cheerleader, the ugly cheerleader, in too tight of a skin tight outfit, with the pom poms. That was me.
You know what? I'd show up on my channel in a cheerleader outfit. So
it can be argued that I already do.
Yeah, kind of. That's going to be a fan art now.
I believe they call that engagement farming, boys. I'm not chasing followers that much.
Do I need to play the video of me rolling across the bed and then transitioning into lingerie?
Yes, please.
I don't have it ready. Ugh, God damn it.
You don't have it ready?
No, why would I have that one ready?
Because you are neurotically prepared?
Yeah, no, I'm not good at the live stuff because I'm not neurotically prepared enough. Okay, you two chat for a bit. I'm going to find the video.
Fair enough. So you mentioned that there's not that many wins that you get, but the ones that you do get tend to be very, very large.
Correct.
So what is the ratio that you tend to see in terms of like, these are the amount of projects we've engaged in, this is the amount of time we've seen a return on those projects?
Oh, that's a good question. And I was just thinking about that. So I've made my scope now nationwide.
Mm-hmm.
So I look for projects that are nationwide versus just Broward County. And I pick and choose them. I started this thing with Louisiana 4 months ago when I learned, I said, oh crap, look what's happening in Louisiana. So I started this thing 4 months ago. Texas, I had 2 last year, Texas for the In God We Trust. And then I asked all 63 school districts in the state of Florida to ban the Bible. It was nuts on that. I sent the request in, and the next day the Washington Post is calling me up. I'm on Katie Fang. I'm on ABC News Live. It was kind of nuts. We got. So
it becomes one of those things where like you didn't get the win in the way you were going for, but you get the publicity there, which then gets the ball rolling in other ways, which I guess can make it really hard to figure out what constitutes a win.
So a win for me, yeah, it is. All right. So let's back up. So one would consider, let's use Texas, okay? Because we don't know what's happening in Louisiana, but one would consider in Texas a win to be, and I thought this originally, one school putting up a display. Mm-hmm. One school. One. I just needed one. I just needed somebody somewhere, a school administrator, to say, okay, so I'm going to put up the gay pride one. And I had some beautiful art, literally I'm an artist. I had some beautiful artwork. But it didn't go up, or if it went up, I didn't know about it. Because again, it's hard to, Abilene Middle School. How do I know what's happening there unless I had a parent walking around taking a picture? Right?
Yeah, you're not going to be able to know and like you said, you had 40,000 teachers that you were basically running the cheerleading run for. How are you going to know that in each and every one of those classrooms, at least one of them hasn't had one of your displays?
Correct. I sent out a bunch of posters to teachers privately, off the on the sly, if you will, because they said, I'm gonna put this up in my classroom, I'm gonna put this up, but they never got back to me. So it's somewhat of a black box kind of operation, right? So you cross your fingers and hope that something's gonna happen. But with all this stuff that I'm doing, my job is just to point out the silliness. Mm-hmm. That's how I get the win.
Speaking of silliness, I have the video available now.
We've stalled the time. We've done it.
I don't know if you're going to be able to hear the music, but it's not really all that important. This was a trend on TikTok a while ago. It was supposed to be a thirst trap thing. It was usually attractive young ladies doing it, so I decided to do it myself as well. So, Chaz, you should be able to see this on your end.
I did. Huh. Huh.
That's an appropriate reaction.
Huh.
Yeah.
Huh. Have you considered X video?
Don't consider Pornhub. Utah's already banned it, and my lovely representative is trying to get it banned as well.
Of course she is.
Marjorie Taylor Greene for the people, everybody.
Schrodinger's cat says it's funnier with the music. Oh, this is perfect timing. My partner just showed up in the chat. That was good timing, hun.
Smash. I don't know if my partner would smash me in lingerie. I don't know. I'm unaware.
Well, this podcast is taking a turn. So
this is a normal Wednesday for us.
Yeah, that's.
Yeah, there you go. So I'm just one little cog, right, fellas? I'm really good at what I do. I'm not sure what the fuck that is at times, but I'm really good now. It's like this. It's a friend of mine's a Pulitzer Prize winner, not to drop unnames but names, and she told me, she goes, it's like the NBA. You can't teach tall. Whatever that thing is for you to go find the story that resonates, you got it. And it just sort of there. But in between these giant stories that pop on your radar, I'm creating art. I run businesses. I'm creating art all the time. I'm obsessively trying to, move the dial. Throw spaghetti against the wall. There are some spaghetti sticks, and there's piles of spaghetti that you never see it, but it's down on the corner by the wall.
Yeah,
I do see a lovely picture of a Grim Tucker cut out. I'm just casually scrolling through your Wikipedia page, being an invasive person.
Oh yeah. So wait, yeah. Let me talk about that. Yeah. So in 2013, this is where I ended up on the Daily Show, Colbert. It was nuts. My little blog had 1 million visitors in 4 days. My co-location server people called me up, yelling at me, screaming at me, We asked the city of Deerfield Beach. Deerfield Beach is about 10 miles north of Lauderdale, just south of Boca Raton. It's a quiet little seaside community. It's a residential community. Nothing happens here. And I asked the city fathers if I could put up a holiday display, because on the firehouse property, they put the menorah and the creche. And they said, sure. And then we put up we said, well, shit, the fuck we're going to do? My buddy Tommy Wright, who's been with me since day one, he's a lawyer. He's my builder. And I said to him, let's put up a Festivus pole. Oh, what does that mean? Well, it's unadorned, aluminum, everything else. Fuck that. What's the art in that? Let's wrap it in beer cans. And then we put it up, and then we went. Then we learned that somebody out of the blue reached out to me, an anonymous emailer said, "Do you know they have a creche going up in Tallahassee?" Oh, come on, really? In the rotunda, in the gut, the main lobby of the Florida State Capitol. So we asked, and they let us put it up, and it went everywhere. 2015, we did a gay pride thing. We went everything else. We put it. We got permission in Oklahoma. Then the Oklahoma governor came back from his vacation to sign a special little order. We can put up the Festivus pole, but we had to remove the disco ball and the gay stripe. That wasn't going up there. It was up in Washington State, all over the place.
So there's the Gay Pride Festivus pole.
Yeah. It was fucking beautiful, guys. It was beautiful. Where the hell was I going with this? So I've been picking these fights. Now it's like 1 or 2 a year, because it burns a lot of time and effort, right? I can't begin to tell you how much work went into shipping 1,100 signs into Texas, and then doing interviews, and then running a business and taking care. I was taking care of elderly parents, my 2 elderly parents who have since perished. They were in my care 24/7. So I was really freaking busy.
Yeah,
Bremerton, Washington. Do you remember Bremerton, Washington? It was the football coach who wants to pry on the 50-yard line.
Yes. Yep. We covered that here.
Yeah. You guys will have me back in just a little bit.
Oh, we're losing Chaz.
That's all I got to say.
Oh,
no,
okay. Oh,
can you hear me?
I thought for a second you were like, oh, yeah, no, I've got to step out of the room for a second.
For a sec.
No. You guys will have me back. I can't break the news or off camera, turn the video off. But I got something. But anyway, in Texas, excuse me. Sorry. Okay, so real quick, in Florida, it's crazy. I'm old. In Florida, they told us in 2013. My lawyer Tommy, my builder, he said, fuck way. They're not gonna. I remember this was a Thursday, like at 2:30 in the afternoon. He's telling me all the ipso facto of why they're going to tell me no about this and that and this and that, doing all the lawyer bullshit. And then I'm like, Tom, I just got an email. We're okayed. What? Get the fuck out of here. I got threatened by a dude who called me up. Chaz, this is Bob from Oklahoma. I saw your Festivus poll. I am going to get in my truck. Excuse me. I'm going to get in my truck. I am driving to Florida. I am going to kidnap you. I'm going to blind you with my soldering iron. I'm going to bury you alive and keep you alive for 2 days and then let you die.
Because of a Festivus poll.
Holy shit.
There's no hate like Christian love.
This is like
yeah.
This is like the stuff call for
you saw that
was throwing at me.
So you saw that Tucker Carlson thing.
Yes.
So in 2000, yeah, can you flash that back up? In 2018, 19 at COVID, I asked for permission to put up. It's 2019 Fauci clause, and it was Fauci dressed up. I hired an actor, and we made a model of Fauci dressed up like Don Draper from Mad Men, red outfit, like he was.
I just sent you the Tucker thing right now.
Yeah. So so there it was, and next to him was Tucker Carlson dressed as the Grim Reaper, and I put him up next to the sign that's on the wall that says, "This is Florida's free speech zone. We don't condone anything that goes on here, but we welcome everybody's free speech." I didn't get permission for Tucker Carlson. I just sort of stuck him in.
Well, because of course it's the free speech zone, right?
Yeah.
Well, yeah. No, yeah, boy, there he is, right there, the Grim Reaper, and with his Festivus poll, and not good. I have been denied. So I have, after there, I have put up a double dozen, and they applied, they okayed me for a decade with all my artwork. They turned down a blank easel. I wanted to put up a blank easel. You can't see it right now, but to the left of his skiff, whatever Tommy has a different name. He's Tom's into knives. But there's the sign right above his head that says free speech zone. I put it right there on purpose. It's cropped out of the photo right there. But they told me to fuck the fuck off in the bureaucratic kind of way, and they've changed the rules. No one's allowed in the free speech zone anymore.
So it's the not so free speech zone.
Yeah. What the fuck? You have to get permission. You got to get permission from your senator, who then gets permission from the Senate president, who then passes it on the governor's office, and they all have to approve your application for your display. And it has to meet what?
Said who has the time for all that red tape for something that used to be so easy and straightforward?
So in the state, it has to. Well, the confusing thing to me, bro, was it has to meet Florida's. Your mission has to meet the state of Florida's mission, and they don't tell you what the mission is, and you're thinking, what? So I thought, okay, I'll play this game. The state of Florida has passed a gas tax on gas stoves, where you buy a gas stove because we want everybody to die of propane for free. So I drew a gas stove like it's lifted from the Lowe's catalog. No art, no editorial, nothing. 24 by 36 artist rendering of a gas stove. That's it. Again, you could stick it in Lowe's catalog. 7 months ago, I'm still waiting for yes or no.
Jesus Christ.
Well, I mean,
That's
I think
insane.
I think if we didn't cover the story, it was one that I thought about covering. But there was someone that the Satanic Temple. They had a guy that was like trying to give an invocation at the opening of the town meetings because they're like anyone is supposed to be able to give an invocation, and for 3 years, that was you.
That was me.
I want to say it was in Indiana. Are you?
Well, I'm sorry. So in Broward County, I had this thing called Satan or Silence, and 5 Broward County cities and 1 in Palm Beach, when I asked to give a satanic invocation, said no, and we're switching to a moment of silence.
Yeah, no. So this guy, they
Jesus
didn't
Christ.
actually tell this guy no. They just didn't answer his emails for 3 years.
Ha ha! I've been there. Ha
And,
ha!
yeah, so he's actually suing them now.
I mean, yeah, I get that point. What are you gonna do?
Again, so when you guys, if you take that point, right? When you say, what's a win and how do you define your win and why do you seem, I'm putting words in your mouth here. Why do you only go from the 40 to 40? It's because being ignored is 9.9 times out of 10.
Yeah.
The Surfside, remember the building that fell and 100 people died? The condo complex on the beach in Dade County. Surfside, quiet little community, very nice. They denied putting up a gay pride flag. And they denied putting up and you can see it over there. That's my Church of Mars gay pride flag. And they denied me putting up the gay pride flag because the rule says only U.S. flags. And it says that, U.S. flags. So I asked to put up Betsy Ross's flag. They told me, no, that's not an official U.S. flag. So again, they make the rules. They have the gold. They have the cops. They have the guns. They have the SWAT teams. You and I have a microphone.
Yeah, well, we got to do what we can with our microphones. So, you okay talking about some other news stuff, or do you want to...
All right, it's to me. Okay, so let's talk. Let me instead of chewing you off, let's get back to Louisiana for just
Sure.
a second.
Yeah.
Okay.
So hang on a second, fellas. So Louisiana passed the law, yet to be signed by the governor, gonna allow for this.
Yep.
Hopefully gonna allow for that. You can't really see that.
And for
Yeah,
that, they will allow for it, but it's not a guarantee that those will actually be put up then.
Yeah. So the rule.
Oh,
is,
so
as
if I could just jump in
on,
here, I just realized I've been a terrible host. The link to the GoFundMe to help fund these posters is in the description.
There we go. That's
So,
what I was getting at.
I've been meaning to say that.
Thank you. Alms for the poor. So the answer is, yeah, we're gonna get there. The answer is, the rule is, when I did Texas, I'm biking on the beach down in Lauderdale. If you've ever been, Lauderdale has a very pretty beach. I'm biking on the beach and I went, fuck, they didn't tell what language it had to be in. Fuck, I'll do it in Arabic. The people in the people in Louisiana, because they debated it and they were going to put 8,000 regulations on it, and they decided to go the other way, which is just these 3 rules, 11 by 14, in a readable font, and the words are the primary focus. They don't tell you what they left the door open.
Yeah.
So here comes this, and I guarantee you. Wait till high school and college kids get wind of this. Thank God, bring those fuckers on board, and then and also secondary colleges are allowed. So my game plan is to saturate. And this is what I learned from Texas. I'm going to saturate Baton Rouge and New Orleans. I'm not going to look for these little fuck towns in the middle of nowhere, in charge, but they got the signs out front, married couples for Trump or some shit. So I'm going to, I married cousins for Trump. Sorry, messed my joke up. And The answer is I'm gonna saturate the towns, or the big cities. I'm gonna send, depending on how much money I make, I'm gonna take that money and buy a ton of posters. One last thing, I can't show it to you. In September, when this ended, we figured there was going to be a plan B. We figured that somebody was going to follow behind this, and I spent for 5 months developing an idea of how do I slip one past. This is not slipping one past, right? There's the Beelzebub right there.
Yeah.
How do I slip one past? How do I put a sign up on the wall that is readily approved, but somehow fucks them? And I spent 5 months. I used to work for a small rocket company up on the Cape. Yeah. 5 months, a lot of time, a lot of trial, mostly error, and a ton of money coming up with an idea. Afterwards, I'll show you something I got, but you can't share it and you can't spread it around because you'll understand it's like a fart joke. Once you tell it, yeah, you can't unring the bell. And if you say, "Oh, look what Chaz did," look, it's like David Blaine kind of thing. You're like, I guarantee you'll crack the fuck up. You're like, "Oh my god, that's the greatest goddamn thing in the world." But once it gets out, then it's all over. Then everybody knows how David Blaine painted out the Mona Lisa or whatever the fuck he did. But we're gonna go 2,500 signs. 2,500, that's crazy. And we're going to try to do some metal signs. We're going to do Arabic. We're going to do Vulcan, our Beelzebub guy, and then our hold card. And then we'll go. So I need a ton of money, and that's why we have to GoFundMe.
No, it makes perfect sense. Stuff like this is not cheap, and you're not only just paying for the production costs, you're also paying for labor for everybody involved as you're doing this. And you have to do this so many times.
And legal and marketing and press release and blah 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 blah.
Yeah, you don't it never ends. And the work,
it's not as easy as just whipping something up in 5 minutes in your basement and sending it to Kinko's to print.
No, I thought you were talking about something else.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, we saw the video. So the answer is, if you're going to do onesies and twosies, yeah. But if you're going to do it at scale, then it's an entirely different process.
Yep.
And by the way, Katie Fang's on the phone, and you got to get up for that, and blah 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 blah. So it's again, I've been doing this for a long time. So I'm your man, making stupider. So here I am.
All right. Savage Cobra suggested Wingdings as a font that you could use. So the font has to be clearly visible.
Savage Cobra, I welcome you to join me. Make some posters up, Comic Sans, Wingdings, wing it yourself, and send it along. But it has to be in a readable font. So, they're going to tell you no. You need your best shot going forward for them to say yes, right? So again, that's our whole card. Wait till you see it. It's fucking glorious. You're gonna crack up. You'll be like, "Oh my god, Chaz, I love you."
I'm sure there's at least like 2 people who can read Wingdings. They didn't say who needed to be able to read it.
Yeah. So one of the things was originally it had to be read from 20 feet away. So they had a whole bunch of guidelines. They had a whole menu of guidelines of what to do this, because apparently they know how to use Google, and they Googled "In God We Trust Texas," and they went, "Oh my God, this fucking guy Chaz Stevens, who's this douchebag?" And God, he's a pain in the ass, and he's coming our way. So I've sent out 50 to 100, I think, somewhere in there. Let's say 50. 10 to the media types. The story's going to break on the media. You guys are front running the story, and then if it's like everything else, the mainstream media will pick it up, and you'll turn on CNN and you'll go, "Oh, I know that guy. He's a douchebag. That's Chaz Stevens."
Well, kind of a running theme on this show is when I cover a news story, I'm curious to see whether or not I hit the same news stories that show up in the Scathing Atheist podcast that releases on Thursdays. I feel like this is going to be one that hits there. If not, they'll get it eventually. And so now I get to say, look, well, you guys covered the story. I just interviewed Chaz.
It's just a measuring contest at this point for you.
I used to do a lot more stuff with atheism, and then I found, I don't want to say this, I apologize, but fuck them. Who's atheists? What can you do? I found the atheist community to be a bunch of ankle biters. You know, you'd come in with a good idea, and then they would say, well, yeah, you'd solve cancer, but you fuck the people with diabetes, so you're an asshole. And I'm like, what the fuck, dude? So I try to avoid the atheist. I'm an atheist myself, but I try to avoid that community. It's just we don't seem to get on the same page.
There are different segments. It's been joked that getting atheists to agree on something is like herding cats. It just doesn't work.
Yep.
Yes.
But yeah, no. So I'm an atheist content creator, and yeah, I listen to the Scathing Atheist. Yeah, there are definitely segments of the atheist quote unquote community that I actively avoid.
You mean the
Yes.
ones that are very, very self-important? They want to be the one that sounds the smartest in the room. They're not too terribly worried about enacting any actual change. They're just worried about how many people are looking at them.
There are like 15 names that just ran through my head just now as you said
Boy,
that. I'm like,
howdy.
yep, no, I know that. Yep, that's that. Yep.
Mhm.
And I bet you
That's how
the
that
same
works.
15 names ran through your head.
We probably had some overlap, maybe just a little, just a smidge.
Oh, yeah. Well,
It's-
anyway,
it's-
not to do a bit of a non sequitur, but
That's trauma.
do we want to? No, I'm talking about we're transitioning to the news story thing. Chaz, do you want to join? Chaz, would you like to join us for the rest of the show, or would you like to skedaddle?
Joys, I had a great time. I'm going to take my leave, so you don't
Okay.
have to see my face or hear my voice in your ears anymore. Thanks a lot. And just keep in mind, watch the Bremerton stuff.
Yeah,
Hint,
yeah.
hint. And if you want to have me back, it's just going to be a one hitter, but you're going to crack your ass off. You'll be like, oh fuck, I know that guy, Chaz. He's not as bad a douchebag as I think he is. But wait a second. So if you want to have me back after Bremerton, midsummer, I'll be happy to come on back and chat about that. But if I don't, I'll be thinking your boys when I'm doing my thing up there.
I will definitely be keeping my eyes open for news related to that guy. So.
Thanks,
Yeah.
boys.
Thanks.
Appreciate it. Thanks.
Thanks for joining me.
Goodbye to your audience, and sayonara.
Thank you.
Oh God,
And-
I'm split.
Yeah. That's,
I'm between realities.
let's see. There we go.
The office saying that they can hear World of Warcraft in the background. No, that's just your hyperfixation on the voice mod pack.
Oh, so fun fact, you know how I've been complaining that I miss my Go XLR?
Yeah.
I finally caved and like bought my Go XLR, so I'm streaming through the Go XLR again, and it's fantastic. I love it. And I don't regret it. And I found an excuse to get the Go XLR and also keep my the pod track that I've been using, because like the pod track is the better audio interface objectively.
Mm-hmm.
But the Go XLR is better for streaming. So I found a way to justify keeping that. So that's my partner and I. This is tentative. We're not for sure going to be doing this, but we are considering, very heavily considering, starting a stream on Mondays on my normal channel, where she will read apologetics books to me and we'll roast them. And this whole idea was born out of like when we went for a weekend away a few months ago. Like just before we left, we found a copy of a Christian marriage book that I had called "Becoming the Woman of His Dreams," and she brought that along with us, and she like read a chapter of it to me in the car on the way up, and it was fucking hilarious. So it's
Okay.
like, we need to share this with the world.
So it sounds like the kind of stuff that like becoming the woman of his dreams. What's the bent here? Because I'm getting very classically Abby vibes
Yeah.
from that name.
Yeah, basically. There's a whole chapter on how if your relationship is bad, try just giving him all the sex that he wants, and then it'll maybe get better.
Relationship bad? Just give head.
Yes, basically. Anyway, I would have been happy to have Chaz on for the news stories. However, I don't need to rearrange all my sources and everything that I forgot to do until like 2 minutes before we went live.
Yeah,
Without
that's
him,
fair.
so that. Hi. So yeah, no, I'm not muted. But what happened there was because I have the Go XLR, they missed all that conversation.
Oh.
And that was my phone going off to tell. That was my partner being like, "Hey, we can't hear you on the stream."
Oh.
So there we go. Can you hear me now? Yes, you can. I can see the little green bars going.
Chassa has asked me to ask you, are there angels in your house right now?
No, there aren't. Yeah, so that's yep, that's I don't think my stream got my announcement about my potential upcoming podcast.
Huh. Well, that's sad.
There we go. Okay. Yeah, so the reason we were muted is, well, actually, could you hear me before?
I was able to hear you the entire time.
Yeah, I know. That's because you're on Zoom, which is a different. So this is one of the things I love about the Go XLR is you can do the audio routing or whatever. So like I can be listening to copyrighted music right now that you guys can't hear because it's going through a different slider.
And just ignore the fact that I listen to copyright music all the time on Twitch, and I just tell the DMCA claims to fuck themselves.
Yeah, well, YouTube isn't.
I shouldn't
as
play
kind.
with fire like that.
YouTube isn't as kind with that.
No, they're not. It's the reason I don't like. I actively don't like streaming on YouTube.
Luigi Potter says that segment of Cirrus' stream was wild.
Just there's a whole thing. There's like 10 signs. Angels are in your house. Do you see coins? And I just fucking threw my headset on the ground and just walked away. I'm like, nope, I'm done. I'm done. We're not doing coins today.
Okay, I assumed that was a joke about how they could hear you or they could hear us on your stream. And it was like, oh, that part of the Rhino stream that you guys missed, it was wild. Okay. Yeah, so Oklahoma has approved a taxpayer-funded Catholic charter school. Cirrus said that he was considering covering this on his stream, but decided against it, so he's kind of glad that I chose it for this.
Yep.
So in Oklahoma, they voted against this for a while because it is blatantly illegal in, like, according to Oklahoma law. Like, it's not even a question of constitutionality at this point. It's just illegal in Oklahoma because there's an actual explicit law against giving religious schools public money for charter school stuff.
But now they're doing it anyway. They did vote against it, but then they gave a list of recommendations to change things for the school, and the school came back and was like, yeah, whatever. And the day that this vote was taken, the House Speaker for the Oklahoma Senate House, whatever, I guess House, I don't know, whatever, whichever branch of the Oklahoma government had their speaker, he appointed what's his face, Brian Bobeck was appointed by the House Speaker on the day of this vote, and the board asked him to abstain from the vote in order to avoid the appearance of political manipulation. But since he was put on the board specifically to vote on this issue, he did not abstain from the vote. Like, it was political manipulation. That's exactly what it was. The board's lawyers warned them, saying that this is going to raise legal problems. There have already been groups that have announced that they're going to file lawsuits about this. So yeah.
Also, it's the Catholic Church. Do
Why
we
you
really want them
more kids?
Yeah, do we really want them to have access to more children? And also, on top of that, the school that they're funding here doesn't exist yet. So it's not like it's not like there's an existing school that is floundering and really needs public funds to stay alive and give kids in need an education.
No, they're starting.
They are taking it
now.
It's the church said, "Hey, there's public funds available for this thing. We're going to try and get some of those public funds because we like money."
Yeah, and that's...
Scott Dillahunt says it must be nice for Oklahoma to have so much spare cash in their budget to deal with lawsuits. It's like, no, this is the problem. It's going to hurt the education of Oklahoma children because, like, not only is this wasting money on a substandard school, because here's the thing, this Catholic school would not require teachers to be certified, would not have to accept any openly LGBTQ teachers, and would explicitly promote Catholic doctrine during school hours, and would probably expel students who like do things like get pregnant or exist while being trans.
Why would you expel students for holding hands?
But so like this church would get, or sorry, school. The school. It's not a church. It's a school run by a church.
Let's be honest. It's both. I grew up in a Christian private school. It's both. The fact that, like, if I took a math class or a science class or any class that wasn't my Bible study class, we had to have mandatory at the beginning of the day of every day, we still had to get biblical indoctrination in every one of those because they were, Abeka literature, and that's just how those books are written.
Yeah.
No, that it's both simultaneously. It's a scorch.
Yeah. But, so this is, like, it's just clearly not a good idea to give them taxpayer-funded money, especially, like, this is money that, there's a limited amount of money. The Oklahoma schools are already underfunded. So by giving this money to a Catholic school to set up what is going to be a substandard school is not going to help that situation. It's going to exacerbate it, because not only are they now funding a school that's going to be hiring non-certified teachers, they're going to have to pay for lawsuits.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's blatantly illegal.
How much money do you need to run something like this? This is why one of the best strategies with stuff like this is almost always to financially bleed them.
Yeah, so Brett Farley, the executive director of the Catholic Conference of Oklahoma, said that all of the concerns about, like, having uncertified teachers, not hiring LGBTQ teachers, expelling pregnant students, expelling trans students, not teaching sex ed, all of these concerns that we know for a fact will happen in a Catholic school, he said, oh, well, those aren't actual issues because those are all just hypothetical situations. There aren't any actual cases that you can point to.
Because it's not a school that exists.
Yeah.
Convenient.
It's like if I buy a gun and stick it to my head and pull the trigger while it's loaded, I will blow my brains out. Well, that's just a hypothetical. Until I actually do it, I don't know that's actually what's going to happen. Never mind that's just the result of how those things work.
I had an argument with a friend who's a Christian, literally like maybe 3 or 4 months ago, and it was about the age of the Earth, and he was trying to go like, we don't know what the age of the Earth is. I just went, yes, we do. We've done radiometric dating. We can guess within a pretty approximate amount.
Yeah, to be fair, there is 500 million years of wiggle room on either side of the number that we have for the age of the Earth, which is a pretty substantial amount of wiggle room, but in the grand scheme of things, it's not all that.
14 billion years.
No, we're talking Earth or universe, because the universe is 13.7, Earth is 4.5.
4.5. Fair
Jeez,
enough.
Cyrus, get your numbers right.
They're all big, okay? I don't know big things. But
that's what she said.
We had that conversation, and then he was just like, okay, look, but you understand that God could just make things to look that way. And I'm like, what would the fucking difference be? What is the fucking difference between something is that old and God made it look that old? How would you tell the difference? You can't. Then don't fucking bring it in.
So Donald Botger said, I'm amazed Oklahoma did this for a Catholic school. Yeah, so here's the thing. Oklahoma voters rejected a 2016 ballot measure that would have replaced the Blaine Amendment, which is the part of the state constitution that bans public money being used for religious purposes. So, like, the thing that stops it from, like, it's just illegal in Oklahoma. It doesn't even have to get to the U.S. Constitution. Yeah, so they rejected that on a 2016 ballot measure on the same ballot that they elected Donald Trump. So like this is not something that Oklahoma voters want.
But it doesn't matter.
It's something they explicitly voted against.
We have this lovely thing called gerrymandering, though, in the United States, and while it's technically illegal, it still fucking happens. That way the majority vote never really matters.
Yeah, so the current Attorney General of Oklahoma has said, like, so the previous Attorney General, Attorney Jennifer. The previous attorney
Jennifer works.
Yeah, well, his name was not Jennifer. But he said that reclassifying charter schools of private actors would be a sea change. No, that's not him. I scrolled down too far. He said he issued an advisory opinion that the state's current ban on publicly funded charter schools being operated by sectarian and religious organizations could be a violation of the U.S. Constitution's First Amendment and therefore should not be enforced. So he basically flat out said the fact that it's illegal should not matter. That's a violation of the First Amendment because they have a right to a religion. Never mind the fact that putting public money into what is supposed to be a public school now makes it an issue of the Establishment Clause.
Mm-hmm. But we're a Christian nation.
Should have a law scholarship for people named Jennifer. Why not? Yeah, but then the current Attorney General is actually against this. He said the opinion issued by my predecessor misuses the concept of religious liberty by employing it as a means to justify state-funded religion. Said, I doubt most Oklahomans would want their tax dollars to fund a religious school whose tenets are diametrically opposed to their own faith. So charter school run by the Satanic Temple?
I mean, I would fund it. I'm perfectly fine funding that.
I mean, if they're okay with religious organizations running a charter school, like as long as they can meet the same requirements that this Catholic school was required to meet before opening, I don't see why not.
Yeah.
So
that's one of those things where like they need it's the whole purpose of a lot of the like religious trolling that you get there. The entire point is to go, hey, if you're okay with this, then let's go ahead and do a reductio ad absurdum. Let's go ahead and give you this thing that you want, but we're going to take it to its logical extreme. And if you don't like it there, then you didn't actually like the thing. You just wanted special treatment. This is the entire point of running things through a reductio.
Okay, so my partner is in the chat asking me for grocery list stuff. But given the history of your channel that she is unaware of, it hit differently. She just said, do we need milk? Don't you have a whole Catboy milk thing?
Not only do I have that, but I literally just did an interview the other day with Nominal Naomi, who was the person who Matt Walsh ran a harassment campaign on because she was a trans woman who was breastfeeding her child. There are layers to the milk shit on my channel now, and they get more uncomfortable the deeper we go.
Yeah, so basically, rule of thumb, don't ask questions like that in a live chat with Cirrus. Because you never know what the inside joke is.
Yeah, there's always a few, and they're all...
Fusel says, she's his partner. I was really confused as to why we all need milk. Well, because we all need some Catboy milk. All right. That's enough of Oklahoma.
God, I'm so tired.
Let's get to some tweets. I might need to copy the GoXLR thing. There we go. Okay, yeah. So, Aesthetica says, okay, so this was in a response to someone who made a TikTok video that was like their life, and it was kind of like a, drudgery sort of video where it's like, I get up in the morning, I brush my teeth, I have breakfast, I go to work, I work in my cubicle, blah, 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 life is so boring sort of thing. And so he this person took a screenshot of like him while he was driving, and like, yeah, the guy's in good shape. Like, he works out a lot, so he's got the big muscles or whatever. It says, men like this used to lead legions into battle. Now he sits in traffic on the way to the same cubicle every day, where he will listen to some HR harpy lecture him on how he is the problem. Okay, we're gonna get to the legions into battle stuff later. Like, that's what everybody was responding to with this tweet. But like, my question is, if you're being brought into HR to listen to people lecture you on why you're the problem every day,
Maybe
you're probably the problem. Like, I've had lots of jobs. I don't think I've ever had a meeting with HR other than like a standard, like, you are hired, this is orientation sort of thing. But while he watches as his society slowly decays, he may have brief moments of happiness with his pup, but these moments are fleeting. This is the hell of modernity for a lot of men. Okay, but so in the past, when men like this used to lead legions into battle, it's like,
they would just die.
Well, statistically speaking, no, men like that would be farmers. Like, that's just what they would be. Statistically,
if we're accepting that part, I'm just saying that, like, let's say that he was leading people into battle. Statistically, he would die, and maybe not even from battle injuries. He would die of a staph infection.
Yeah.
You stepped on a rock wrong while out in the field. Something got into your sandal, and now you're gonna die.
You got the rickets.
But that's, that's the thing we need to be strive. This is the true peace
that
all warriors strive for.
But okay, so he probably would have been a farmer, not a warrior. But if he was a warrior, it was like one legion commander would be in charge of something like 5,000 troops. So that's a 1 to 5,000 ratio. He probably would have just been one of the lower grunts in the military who was sent to their deaths.
And then they would all... It's like the brief moments of happiness thing. Like, yeah, dying at 22 by being conscripted into the local warlord's regiment. Yes,
not so happy.
I see that as such a better thing. My life would have been so much better if that happened to me. Instead, I'm here.
I don't like, I would not be happy commanding a legion or taking a legion into battle. Like, I'm way more happy doing my work and playing with my dog and enjoying my family.
I get to play video games this way. Video games are fun. It's like being able to do the battle part, but if you die, you get to respawn.
If you die, you get to start over and try again, see if you can not die this time.
Yeah. Life is like a video game.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ. This whole, like, granted, there is an angle to this tweet though that I do resonate with. Society does, by and large, in a lot of ways, it does give men, especially here in the States, it does give them a shit end of the stick. A lot of us are expected to hold our emotions in, and it's a lot harder for us to, go and engage in hobbies that are considered non-masculine hobbies without having issues.
You mean toxic masculinity?
Yeah, an issue that we perpetuate. Don't get me wrong. Don't get me wrong. It's perpetuated as a cycle, but it doesn't make it not an issue. So, like, on the one hand, like, I understand where tweets like this are coming from, because you're speaking to that lonely guy that feels like society is failing him, that feels like he doesn't belong in society here. The problem is, while that is certainly a thing that we need to address, and it's a thing that we need to do better about, at the same time, what tends to happen to those people is they find themselves listening to Andrew Tate and Jordan Peterson and those types of people whose entire thing is preying on those lonely people and extracting money from them, as opposed to letting them actually find better purpose in their life. Because tweets like this basically are saying, your purpose at one point would have been this. Okay, well, why not find a better one? It's not doing anything to address that. It's just continuing the isolation chamber.
Yep. All right, next we get End Wokeness says, Megan Fox has 3 sons that all dress like girls. I'm sure it's a coincidence. Okay, now, one of them seems to be...
Is the middle one dressing like a girl?
What?
She just has long hair.
No. Are any of them, except for the oldest one, dressing as a girl?
No.
They just
like,
have
okay,
long
the,
hair.
the pants may be a little tight on the one on the right, maybe, and that's what they're going for. But at that point,
okay,
again,
Cirrus, you don't have kids,
I
right?
wear tight jeans.
You don't have kids, so you don't appreciate just how fast they go through fucking clothes. Like sometimes it's like, when did all of your pants stop fitting you? Okay, I guess you're wearing pants that are too small until I can get you a new pair. Now, granted, this is Megan Fox. She probably has the resources to like send someone out to buy a new pair of pants that morning, but like, it's not like it could have just been an issue of like, these are the pants that you have because these are the pants that you have. Everything else is in the laundry. We got to wait for it, whatever. But like,
yeah.
So I don't know the personal situation of these people. Frankly, I don't care. So like if like one of the replies said that Megan Fox's oldest kid is trans. So like, yeah,
neat.
She's a trans girl. Neat. She's dressing like a girl. Okay, that's fine. The other two are they just appear to be boys with long hair. I don't see that they're dressing like girls, and I wouldn't see the problem.
What's wrong with just the fucking clothes?
I was gonna say I don't see the problem with it if they were.
Like, it's if you are that concerned about those kids, then here's the thing. If your goal is to lower the amount of trans people in the world, if that is your actual goal, which for a lot of these people it is, then the way that you would one of the ways you do that is you allow people to test the limits of their gender. Mm-hmm. Because what you'll find is, instead of them sitting there wondering what if for 25 years of their life and then making what could be considered a brash decision in a pit of dysphoric loneliness, instead you give them the ability to try things out as they go. Yeah. And maybe you'll find that they'll be one of those people that go, okay, I tried this and it wasn't for me. And then they grow out of it. Or again, if you keep on doing the whole, as long as you live in my house, you'll wear a hoodie and you'll wear big bulky jeans like the rest of men do. When you do that, all you do is you trap that person in their own body. And they might realize, because we've seen it happen a very small handful of times, that somebody transitions into adulthood, realizes they don't like it, and they try to detransition. Doesn't happen often, but you reduce that number by letting kids do these things early, not HRT, not surgeries, things that aren't even happening anyway. You let them do those things. You let them experiment and come to their own conclusions. When you make the conclusions for them, that's when people make brash decisions.
Yeah, like I am almost certain that all of my kids are cis. They showed no interest in being the other gender. My son, my middle child, he likes to wear dresses sometimes. He went for Halloween as Ginny Weasley one year. That actually made it really easy for me to catch him. That was the first year that he was walking to school by himself. And we got a call from the school. There was a little boy dressed as a little girl who was playing on my front steps. They called the school to complain, and so the school was able to figure out which kid it was, because there's only one boy dressed as a girl in the school right now.
Jesus Christ.
So yeah,
why was that a thing to call about anyway?
I don't know, but like, no, he's always had issues with like respecting other people's private property. So like that was our concern when we started him walking to school on his own. I was like, no, kid, you need to stay on the sidewalk. Don't play in other people's yards. Just walk to school. And yeah, like they weren't like pissed off about it. They were just like, hey, no, that this kid was doing this and he probably shouldn't.
We have identified the target.
Yeah, but like, no,
retrieve the package.
My daughter did dance, and when she was done with her dance costumes, he would wear them. He did dance for a while, and they always put him in boy costumes, but he would still wear my daughter's costumes when she was done with them. And yeah, no, I do not expect him to be trans. He shows every indication of enjoying being a boy and identifying as a boy, but sometimes he likes to wear dresses. And I don't see a problem with that. And like these people like, oh, we're trying to force our kids to be trans by putting them in dresses and stuff. No, I'm just letting him express himself. He likes this clothing. He will wear this clothing. That's fine. And what's great though, is that kids these days are so accepting of this sort of thing. So like, when I was in school, like I was nervous letting him go to school dressed up as Ginny Weasley for Halloween, because like when I was in school in the 90s and early 2000s, that would have been like painting a big target on yourself for bullying.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, no, the kids were very much accepting of it, and like it was just a fun little thing. Kids these days have it so much better than me, and that's a good thing.
No, we need to use that as a platform to complain about everything.
No, I don't understand the kids these days have it so easy. Yeah, as a parent, I want my kids to have it easier than me. I don't want them to go through all the shit that I went through.
I want kids these days. I want every kid who grows up to deal with the same traumas I did, Rhino. You don't understand. I want the battery in their Game Boy game to die.
Life will give them trauma no matter what. If I can mitigate that,
I need it to be
will.
the exact trauma I dealt with. I need their Game Boy game batteries to die. I need their N64 games to no longer work.
I'm signing up for dial-up internet now, damn it.
Yeah, I need them to go onto AOL instant message boards and talk to random strangers for years and never meet them, and then them disappear and then wonder if their friends are dead. I need them to do all of that. If they don't do that, they aren't living a full life. You don't understand.
Yeah. All right. Jordan Roberts says, I still love you and all, but I can't respect you if you still wear a mask, support LGBTQ+, kids go to public school, unless for special circumstances outside of your control, get the COVID vaccine, celebrate Santa Claus, and go to church with a female pastor. That's quite the list.
And they can't even qualify any one of them. Okay, cool. So still wear a mask. Let's talk about cultures that use masks as a way of making sure that if someone has a cold, that they do not spread it, but they can still go out in public without running into as many issues. Supporting LGBTQ plus people. What? It's just people existing. It's just people existing.
Yeah. No, okay, forget support LGBTQ plus people. How about don't condemn people just for being LGBTQ+. Just accept that people exist.
Do the bare minimum of just not being an asshole.
Like if someone's 40 years old and they've never been married and I know nothing about their romantic life, I'm not going to be sitting there like, oh, well, you need to show me that you're heterosexual by like getting married to someone of the opposite sex. Like, no. Oh my God, Hellbound Hillbilly is sending me down memory lane with AIM with ASL. I remember that.
Oh, I'm 13, female, and I'm definitely not working with To Catch a Predator.
Yeah, well, no, you know what's really funny about that is I want to know how many, like, what was the percentage of like 13-year-old boys that catfished themselves with other 13-year-old boys who are trying to catfish them back.
Just you need the singularity.
Well, because I remember. Oh, this is telling on myself a bit. I was a shitty kid. Okay, I'm just gonna. I own up to it. I know this was wrong and bad and horrible, and do not do anything like this. But like, one of the things that I did was because it was actually harder to find like good quality porn back then. I would go to AOL Instant Messenger, random stranger chat type things, pretending to be a lesbian and being like, hey, can I have pictures? And I had a picture ready that I would send to them if they asked for pictures, and they had a picture ready that they could send to me if I asked for pictures. And it was
you were
always
both dudes.
And yeah, it was always something that you could probably have found on whatever like it wasn't Google Images at this point, but whatever.
We didn't have reverse image search back then.
No, but like a 14-year-old kid that is not exposed to this stuff regularly, like this is obviously a professionally taken photograph. This isn't like just you in a bedroom with a film camera.
Yeah. For some reason this reminds me of there was a picture that I saw, or a meme I saw on Twitter recently that was just going like 13-year-old me on World of Warcraft helping a 27-year-old woman through her divorce. And I'm just like, hey, that was me at 13. I did that.
Yeah. Kids are stupid. That's why parental controls exist.
Yeah.
I could lock all my kids' devices with a couple clicks of my fingers. I would have hated that as a child. And it probably should have been used on me as a child.
Look, my mom didn't want me looking at porn, and she didn't want me playing Resident Evil, and I had my friends' houses for at least one of those. And I also had we had a network for selling it within our middle school. Just like people who had printers would get it, and then we would all like bring them in the paper folders that had like the push clips for you to the 3-ring push clips.
Yes.
And we would just have them stored in like.
Cirrus, I feel like I feel like I've been told that this is a Canadianism, but those are called duotangs.
What the fuck is a duotang?
The thing that you just described.
Oh, I just called them a folder.
It's a duotang.
We would just print all that out, and then we would go to the school, and to people who did not have printers and did not have access to the internet, because that was a very common thing back then.
Yeah.
We made a decent bit of money giving them access to what they needed. Sometimes it was just giving them access to material that they already could have gotten at the local library, because for some reason the first volume of .hack just had fucking naked pictures in the beginning of it, and we sold that in the public library. But just ignore that. It didn't matter.
Yeah. And Naramdaput says, do parental controls work these days? Yes. I can say that they do, because my kids have Android phones, and with the click of a single button, I can completely lock the phone. Like they still have access to the home screen, and they can still make emergency calls, but that's it. And when I say home screen, I meant lock screen, not home screen. They can't get to the home. They can't unlock it because it's locked, but they can make emergency calls. And so, yeah, no, parental controls do work. Yeah, so that's, and their switches, same thing. A couple pokes of my finger, I can turn off the switch. That's what she said.
The only thing you do to turn off the switch is by being vanilla.
Yeah, maybe. Anyway, yeah, all my kids go to public school. I don't know why you wouldn't respect someone just because their kids go to public school. It's like,
they think that the public schools are indoctrinating their kids, and it makes you an unfit parent.
Yeah, but like
that's where it's coming from.
Okay, so I today on 2 times speed, because it's a terrible movie, I watched the movie What Would Jesus Do 2? I didn't watch the first.
To who? To you?
Actually, no. So it's a sequel to What Would Jesus Do, which I didn't watch that. I haven't watched that one because it's not available for free on YouTube, and I'm not giving them money. This one's called What Would Jesus Do to the Woodcutter? And so, but like because of this thing, there's like, what would Jesus do to the woodcutter?
Jesus comes in.
But
so
John
Ratzenberger
is the woodcutter. And throughout the whole movie, like they treat this couple are getting a divorce, and their kid vandalizes a church because he's now a troubled kid, and they're getting a divorce because they stopped going to church and they're no longer living for the Lord, so they're getting a divorce. And
it's a vicious cycle, isn't it?
Yeah, and so the whole point of the movie seems to be like, well, they're constantly ragging on this woman for getting a job. Like, she is now a single mother who has bills to pay, and they treat her like she's the bad guy because she's getting a job. And at one point she's like, oh, well, I need to go help my son and this strange old man who he just decided to live with after meeting him for 2 days. Just decided to go live with him. I need to go help them do their woodworking. So I'm going to tell my job that I can't start till next week. and they fired her. And that's a good thing. Yay, she's fired. She can come do the woodworking now.
That would be a sign of an irresponsible parent in any other scenario.
Yeah. Heather Kuhn says Duotang is a brand name. You can find it anywhere that sells school supplies. Yeah, no, for us, we
Kleenex is a brand name.
No, that's what like Kleenex is like every facial tissue is a Kleenex. Every folder thingy was a Duotang.
And then every lighter is a Bic or a Zippo.
No, I still call them lighters. I also never appreciated like I would never say go Xerox this. Like, no, you make a photocopy.
I've heard Xerox it.
Yeah, I've heard it too, but it sounds awkward to me.
Also, does her Coke?
That's a regional thing.
Yep.
That depend like that's mostly like a Central Texas sort of thing. And I guess
it happens down here too.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you guys are trying to be like Texas.
Look, all I'm saying is everything's bigger there, including their fucking problems.
I've only been to Texas once, and it was only like a 2-hour layover at the Dallas airport. And yeah, can confirm the number of like 10-gallon hats significantly skyrocketed. And oh, Jas is saying, are you going to cover the story I tagged you in where Republicans are trying to starve children? No, I didn't get that one up for today, but yeah, there was something. I think that was on Twitter. I don't. Oh, that must have been this one. I think is this. Yeah, no. So this was last week. I'm trying to remember. There's a thing being passed in Colorado. It's in Colorado. They passed a thing where school children are now going to be able to go to certain locations to like where they were getting free school lunches before. They can go to these locations during the summertime, during summer vacation, and get their free school lunch during the summer when there's no school. But there's an issue now where there's like new laws have passed where they have to eat them on site. They can't take food away because what they were doing before was they would give them their lunch for now and they'd give them breakfast for the next day. But now they can't do that anymore.
Why is that a bad thing?
I don't know, but they can't do that anymore because now they have to eat it all on site right there. Right.
The child must prove that they are consuming the nutrition all at once.
Yeah,
otherwise, they must be fed to the pit.
It's so fucked. But anyway, this was one of the responses to that, and this was a common theme in the thread. It was like, well, why are we giving them EBT cards? That's basically food stamps cards. These folks get more money per month than they can ever spend on food. I looked it up.
Fuck, they don't. In general, people get $200.
Yeah, I looked it up. The average SNAP benefit for a single person in 2023 is $195 per month, with a maximum of $281. The average benefit for a family of 4 is $684, with a maximum of $939. Speaking as someone who was a family of 4 for a significant period of time, my monthly food budget when I was keeping things really, really tight was like $1,200. So like $684, that's like you're eating rice every day.
That is where every single so this is where we get the concept of like, stretching you have to stretch your dollars out a lot. This is where you get houses that like almost exclusively eat casseroles and soups and stuff like that, because that's the stuff that you can make in bulk for cheap. If you grew up loving your mom's spaghetti, I guarantee you half the time she made it because it was the cheapest thing that would last the longest. Like, that's the reason I make it. I mean, it is cheap and lasts a while.
I do spaghetti because I'm now a household of 7. And it's not so much that it's cheap, it's that it's easy and quick. And also, so 2 of the kids are rather picky eaters, and so there will often be a situation where it's impossible to make one meal that everybody enjoys in my house now. And 2 of the kids and So one of them, he's got a lot of allergies, and it went from a period like where he would not like something, and then it turned out that the reason he didn't like that thing is because that's a thing that he's allergic to, and it was just like not feeling well in his body. So it became a situation where anytime he said he didn't like something, you immediately like, okay, you don't need to eat that because I don't want you to be like throwing up all night. So let's find something that you do like. And now it's become hard to parse out when he's doing that because it's actually something that is going to cause an allergic reaction versus when he's doing that because he knows that he can say I don't like it and he'll get what he does like.
The gates have been opened, as it were.
Yeah, so it's challenging now to find a meal that chicken burgers are a pretty good one because he likes chicken burgers, and the other one like the youngest, he doesn't like chicken burgers, but if you cut them up, you can call them chicken nuggets and he'll eat them. And then my three eat whatever the fuck you put in front of them for the most part. Which
I know that like.
I won the lottery on that one.
Yeah, it's a very happy feeling to have. And this is like, granted, I know where this one is coming from too. This entire concept of being angry at people for having food stamp shit, it's from Ronald Reagan. It's the welfare queen.
Yeah.
It is the image of the welfare queen that he created, that there are dumb fucks on the internet that I'm not going to name so that they don't get, the recognition, but have made it one of their fun pastimes to troll, to like buy really expensive food and then do it with EBT and go like, look, this is what I can do with this, and then you just go like, yeah, you can do that 2 times, and then you're out of EBT.
Yeah.
And now a bunch of conservatives are double mad.
Yeah, so I actually, that's the comment of the day that I'm responding to in the video that I'm working on now, is someone that said like, oh, well, yeah, I'm all for like trying to reduce poverty, but we shouldn't be just handing out cash willy-nilly. We should be doing like some sort of voucher programs that they have to use it on specific things. It's like, no, because you know who knows best where their money should be spent to get the biggest impact in their own lives is the people whose lives they are, not the government. And so I looked into it a little bit, and every time it's been studied, it's been found that giving people cash actually alleviates poverty, whereas doing voucher programs or like the like for like benefit
means
sort of
testing.
things, and means testing and stuff like that, every time that, like, compare that to just giving them cash, and doing those things actually keeps them reliant on the government support.
Well, yeah, because what you do
So, like,
is you create a scenario where those things, especially with mean testing, what we find is that people who are on these programs, when they have thresholds, where if you pass the threshold for income, you lose the government benefit. They tend to not actually, they'll go to a job and they'll have their own hours cut down at the job, because there is a sweet spot where there is money they can make from the job and money they can get from the benefit.
I can speak to this directly because I was a server in restaurants for many, many years, and the wintertime was always the slow season where you wouldn't get as many shifts. And so a lot of people, including me, for the winter, what you do is you ask your employer for a letter, or for a letter that's laying you off, but you still work part-time. And so that way you can apply for unemployment benefits to supplement your income to get through the winter while you're still working part-time. And the way unemployment works in Ontario is you can earn a certain amount of money without being penalized at all. And then as soon as you pass that threshold, for every dollar you earn, they take $1 off your benefit. And so I would turn down shifts because, like, well, if I take that shift, like, it's the slow season.
I'm working for free.
I'll make maybe $20 in tips, and it's going to make my unemployment go down. So, like, I'll spend time with my family and get the same amount of money, basically, instead of going to work.
And you avoid that problem entirely when you just have a flat or flexible amount that goes into the pocket of the people who need it.
The idea that I saw, and this is like the first libertarian idea that is actually seems like a good idea to me, which makes me think I need to do more research into it because it's probably bad because libertarianism is idiotic. But it came from...
You don't like Ayn Rand?
No, this is from Milton. This is from Milton Friedman. He proposed a negative income tax. So like, it's the same progressive tax system that we have now, except instead of the cutoff point being $0, like you have zero income, so you pay zero taxes. It'd be like, if you make under $30,000, you pay negative income tax. And so the taxes, like, it just scales with your income. So there's not like a penalty for making more money. You just no longer get as big a tax return next time.
It's funny. That's so, and because I'm playing WoW in the background, it makes me think of this. WoW, World of Warcraft has what's called the rested experience system. And it has been unchanged since the early beta of the game, but when the game originally was in beta, because this reminds me of this, they had a penalty system on experience points where you would be exhausted. If you tried to level up without resting your character, you got half experience because you were exhausted. Makes sense, but players hated it. And then the way they fixed it was by not fixing it. They just changed the name. They said, oh no, now you have rested experience. So there's a certain amount of rested experience you can gain. So they turned that gives you double experience instead of... So it's not that you have
the mechanics,
half, it's that's
the mechanics
baseline.
Are the same. They just rebrand. Okay.
That's the type of thing that makes me think of, is that like there might be something sneaky in there that's fucky, that's like that, where it sounds different and better, and then it's not. Well,
this is John73. John says, wait, Rhino, that sounds like redistributing wealth. Are you sure Libertarian came up with that? And like, yeah, that's why I kind of want to like look into it a little bit more, because that does sound like not something a Libertarian would say. Yeah. But also Milton Friedman is like one of the OG Libertarians before they went all crazy sovereign citizen. So like maybe he actually like was reasonable and was like, okay, well, we have to work in the reality of how economics work in the real world. We can't have this libertarian idealistic Ayn Rand Valley sort of thing. But yeah, no, but like his whole thing was like having a negative income tax would basically save the government money, because now they no longer have to worry about like enforcing all the limits and means testing or whatever for all the dozens of other benefits that there are out there. It's just, you get a negative income tax. Now, I feel like there would need to be a stopgap emergency thing. So like if you lose your job right after you file your taxes, you can't wait a year before you get more money. You need that steady income. So like there would need to be some sort of emergency benefit of some kind. But yeah, I don't know. I'm not an economist. I'm sure smarter people than me have worked on this problem. Anyway, next up, we've got Stu Peters. I didn't save the video that was attached to this one. He says,
I know what this one was.
You saw this one.
This was the kids just walking through the Pride Arch, the Rainbow Arch.
It was kids going to school, and the school was decorated with rainbows, and some of the teachers were waving rainbow flags. That's it. That was the whole video. And they were having a blast. They were having a grand old time. They were like skipping along, dancing. It was fun. And he said this
penalty.
It should be the death penalty for having fun with kids and waving rainbow flags around, because that means that you're acknowledging that gay and trans people exist. LGBTQ people.
Dark Excalibur's showing me the corrupted blood incident for some reason.
This tweet no longer exists. It was taken down for violating Twitter's rules, as it should be, because like calling for the death of someone based on not even being LGBTQ, but just supporting LGBTQ people, like they're not even trying to hide the fact that they're going like full Hitler,
genocidal
basically.
Maniacs.
Yeah. Like not to invoke Godwin's law here, but like they're going full Hitler. Like the death penalty for not even being LGBTQ, just supporting LGBTQ. You get the death penalty in this guy's mind. Lord of Uzkalak says death penalty for who? The adults or the kids? I would assume the adults, but I wouldn't put it past them to.
If we're going purely biblical, there's quite a few clauses for killing the kids.
Yeah. Happy shall he be who smashes your little ones against the rocks.
Man, Psalms is a fucked up chapter in the Bible.
It is. So are the Proverbs, man. Like the Proverbs are one of the places where you can go and actually find good advice, but like the good advice you'll find there will be sandwiched between things like don't forget to beat your slaves and your wives are the property of your husband.
Yeah, I'm just
like they're like, and I don't know about the wives one. I was kind of pulling that one out of my ass, but there literally is a proverb that's basically like you can't expect to have a good slave if you don't beat them occasionally.
I mean, that's no different than spare the rod, spoil the child.
Which is also a proverb. I mean, not in those exact words, but that's where the phrase comes from. It's a paraphrasing of Proverbs.
I'm so happy that I just got through a part in the Dresden Files where like there was a whole conversation about what was and wasn't legal when they were fucking with Job. It made my heart swim.
Yeah, so Proverbs 13:24, whoever spares the rod hates his son, but he who loves him is diligent to discipline him.
Welcome to the Bible, everybody.
And Tiff says, so this one's the best. Okay. Before I read this, the thing that she's retweeting is Sesame Street saying, this Pride Month, let's celebrate diversity and unity and spread love and acceptance. Together we can make the world a kinder place for all. And there was a picture for that I cropped out because it was too big, but it was just a bunch of Muppets holding hands. It was just their hands stretched across the screen and the Muppets were holding hands with each other. And what Tiff's takeaway from that was, so y'all can teach 6-year-olds that it's okay for Big Bird to go balls deep into Elmo while Count, Bert, and Ernie gangbang Grover and infect the whole damn street with monkeypox. Yeah, nah. Boycott
Have you
Sesame
finished
Street.
yet? I came once.
Two
She's been
boobs.
thinking about that one for a while. She's been thinking of that one for a while. Jesus Christ.
But like, seriously, where does your mind have to be to see a picture of Muppet, like just puppets holding hands with a post that says let's celebrate diversity and unity, and from there go to, oh, Big Bird's going balls deep into Elmo.
Elmo don't like that. Oh, Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
Why are people like this, Rhino? I don't understand.
Not one, not two, but 3 naked Muppets. All right. Frank Turek says, if you compare the Old Testament and the Quran, or say jihad and violence used supposedly in the Old Testament, then it's not the same thing, because the Quran... This is so awkwardly worded, because in the Quran and in Islam, commands to kill are on the innocent for what they believe, not what they've done.
What did the Canaanites do?
Well, they sacrificed the children on the molten hot god Molech.
Did they?
According to,
or did the Israelites believe that they did?
According to Christian apologists, there is at least one Canaanite primary source document. I have yet to find what that document is. So that seems like just a trust me bro kind of thing. But yeah, no, this
source is I made it the fuck up, Jack.
So here's the thing. Who fucking cares? Because these are the people that tell you that morality is absolute and comes from God and is not consequentialist in nature. It doesn't matter what the consequences of something are. An action is,
there are sins of the heart in the Bible.
Yeah, no, it's not based on actions and consequences. It's based on what is consistent with God's nature. So, but as soon as you get to the genocides in the Old Testament, they immediately switch from, oh, no, it's morality is based on what is consistent with God's nature, to, oh, well, the Canaanites were really bad people who deserve to be wiped out. It's like, okay, well, that's consequentialism. That is not morality from God. That's secular morality, saying that the moral math, like if we use utilitarianism, of like increasing harm and increasing well-being and decreasing harm, what you're claiming is that wiping out the Canaanites was a net increase in well-being, and it eliminated the harm that they were doing, even if it did take a little bit of harm to do that. That's how they're justifying that, with consequentialism and utilitarianism. And this is... Okay, I'm going to quickly add a video. I know where this one is. But oh, you know what? I might have to.
We need to understand this was not an arbitrary ethnic cleansing, but in fact, this is a specific judgment on a morally degraded people.
God's command for Israel to drive out the Canaanites was not race-based, but behavior-based, as the Canaanites engaged in acts that would be considered criminal in civilized societies.
First, it starts off with incest, and then it goes into adultery, then it goes into offering your children to Molech, homosexual sins, and then bestiality. And we know from Canaanite primary source documents that all of these things were being practiced by the Canaanites.
He gives reasons, right? He doesn't just wake up like a mob boss and go, Canaanites, I want them dead, right? He's got reasons for it. And probably the biggest reason, after 400 years of warning, is that the Canaanites were sacrificing their children on the molten hot god Molech, this idol.
We need to understand this was not an arbitrary ethnic cleansing, but in fact, this is...
Okay. Yeah, so yeah, I'm sorry that you couldn't hear that, but that was a montage that I put together that I use in a number of my videos of Christian apologists justifying genocides in the Bible by appealing to utilitarianism instead of appealing to God's nature.
No, because appealing to God's nature, no, I'm just going to be honest, it would mean actually knowing what it is.
Yeah, and Less Than Lucid is saying that, but early Israelites were Canaanites. Yeah, that's...
And at what point were the Israelite slaves Egyptians?
Never.
After a few generations, you'd think eventually.
Well, that whole story was concocted, basically. My understanding is that like it was as the Israelites were distinguishing themselves from their surrounding cultures, that was one of the stories that kind of developed as a way for them to say, no, we're actually different. But yeah, the Israelites were a branch of the Canaanites. And yeah, that's it. That's it. Oh, you're split again. Whoopsies.
I am of two minds about this.
Okay, well, we can just stay here. Okay. Yeah, we ran a bit late tonight, so I gotta go. It was fun. I'm glad we got to talk to Chaz. I kind of tweeted out about it and tagged him in it, saying that we're talking about his story or whatever, and he was like, "Invite me on." It's like, okay,
sure, why not?
Yeah, no, he responded to it with like, "Hey, you should invite me on your show to talk about it." I'm like, "Okay, can you come on today?" Like, yeah, I can come on today. Okay, then you can come on today. Savage Cobra says, my boss, he disrespected me, he needs to die. Yahweh, they disrespected me, they need to die. Oh, mob boss, not my boss. I was like, what kind of person are you?
Your boss disrespected you. The boss needs to die.
Yeah.
You have the morality of Jesus Christ.
Yeah. All right, well, thanks for joining me, and as always, fuck off.